Biden administration does not have a plan. They can say they have a plan, but they have no plan. The message is still being sent to the world that if you cross that border illegally, you're not going to face any consequences. Joe Biden said that he was going to put Vice President Harris in charge of the border. When asked about it, we all know she laughed it off. They still haven't been to the border. They still don't have a plan, and it's only getting worse each day.
Congressman, the El Paso Sector Border Patrol Chief Gloria Sanchez posted video on Twitter showing two children, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, being dropped. You see it here on our screen now, dropped over a 14-foot border wall fence, left on their own. Do you think that this marks a new low that just demands Vice President Harris to get to the border?
This is a crisis, and the fact that they haven't been there yet speaks volumes. And I've seen the video. Every American, I'm sure, has seen the video by now, and it's terrible. As Americans, we're compassionate people. What needs to happen immediately is Joe Biden needs to send the National Guard to the border. He needs to work with the Red Cross and other humanitarian organizations to set up shop on the Mexican side of the border to serve as humanitarian aids in this. But we have to secure the border. If something's not done, this problem's only going to get worse. We're going to see an uptick in COVID. We're going to see an uptick in human smuggling, drug smuggling. And this is something that I just can't, for the life of me, imagine an administration paying so little attention to it that they haven't even been down there to at least make the case that they have an interest in it.
Yeah, it's so true. This is a festering problem, and I can't remember a time where there's been a crisis unfolding in the United States that's garnered such little attention from the executive branch. So what do you think is the tipping point? What needs to happen for the Biden administration to finally change the policies that are leading to this?
You're going to see more Republicans make trips to the border. I'm leading a group in a couple of weeks to the border from my oversight committee. We're trying to get the media down there to show transparency as to what it looks like down there. And that's one thing that Biden's gotten away with. He hasn't allowed the American people to see really what's going on down there. And I think it's much worse than our worst fears. So we're going to continue to message on this and demand that Joe Biden secure the border and try to do something from a humanitarian standpoint, but do that on the Mexican side of the border.
Well, Congressman, I've spent a lot of time at the border, so when you make that trip, you want media coverage, you just make sure you let our producers know, and maybe I'll catch up with you down there. Meanwhile, I want to just hit the other big story of the day, and that is, of course, the president unveiling his American Jobs Act, which is going to include a lot of new taxes, namely under it, the corporate tax rate going from 21% to 28%, just among the many you see there. Also imposing a 21% global minimum tax and a 15% minimum tax on reported income. Your reaction?
Well, they're calling this an infrastructure bill, but it's not an infrastructure bill. Only 25% of the total funding would go for basic infrastructure. What this is another liberal wish list. Joe Biden has turned out to be a Trojan horse for the radical liberal left. We all thought Joe Biden was the one that was going to be president, but what it looks like is Bernie Sanders is president. This is Bernie Sanders' agenda. This shows the influence that Ocasio-Cortez and the progressives are having in the Democrat Party. They're talking about green infrastructure. They're talking about infrastructure to take care of socially disadvantaged parts of our society. This isn't a jobs bill. This is another liberal spending spree.
Just 25% is actually devoted to infrastructure. So, we all love roads and bridges, but if he kept it at that, it would definitely receive bipartisan support. I am sure of it. Congressman Comer, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.